As I sit here, I contemplated whether I should do this or not, but I couldn't hold it back. I felt that my voice too had to be heard. Why? Because I was a cop at one time, and I remained in the criminal justice system up to my retirement. And what I saw was appalling as well, just like what you saw. And I feel exactly the way you feel. And I'm concerned, just as you are. I have two sons. And as a father, and it is obvious that I'm black, I made a point to talk to my sons, the do's and the don'ts when they're away from our home, when they are stopped by the police, how they should respond. Hands on the steering wheel, be respectful. Don't say anything or ask all sorts of outlandish questions, because I know what the dangers are out there. I know that everybody's not treated the same, because I just know from my own childhood. Coming from Louisiana, being in Texas and Oklahoma, and plus just traveling around the country, I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be talked to a certain way by the police. I know what it's like to be up against the wall, patted down, horrible things said to you as an 18-year-old. I know what it's like to be chased with baseball bats, called all sorts of foul names. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have a gun pulled on you more than one occasion and truly thinking this is it, and I'm going to die. I know what it's like. Do you know what it's like to have a gun pulled on you thinking this is it for you? And I wasn't a police officer at that time. I was a regular pedestrian, causing no harm, and actually had a gun pulled on me, 25 caliber, by a lady, and thinking that I was about to die because of her fear, simply because of my color. Do you know what that's like? I know what it's like. When I became a police officer, I made a point to not get where I come from, to not forget where I come from, but also to make certain I treat everybody equally and fairly. And for you young folks, or anyone that has to aspire to become a police officer, we need people like you. If you're a person of good character, morals and values, great religious beliefs, we need people like you. You're the kind of people that's going to make this country better than it's ever been. It can't be done without you. We have to have police. Bottom line, we have to have police because we have to have, order. We have to have people needs protecting. There are fights that goes on at homes. People are getting robbed. People are getting shot at. People commit crimes. And we need the police to help us and to protect us, but not go overboard and kill us. Come on. Come on if you have that desire, that passion, that dream to want to serve, want to help, want to protect. We need you. And we need every race in our country. We need to be very diverse, because we all grow up with different values. We all grow up with different thoughts. We all grow up with things that are fed in our minds, and some of the bad experiences we may have had, and we view people differently. But once you get to know somebody, and that's always been my pattern. A good friend of mine, we often talk, and he's a head basketball coach. And we've often talked about our journeys on where we are today. He's African American as well. And we both share some experiences together. But we do also know there's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of good people out there. I like to believe there's more good people than bad people. And I like to believe that there's more good cops than bad. but it only takes that one to just ruin it for every law enforcement agency in this country. The world is looking at America. Isn't it time we get our act together? There's no place for racism in this country. There's no place for racism in this country. It's time, America. It's time. Let everyone be treated equally. It's time, don't you think? What I want to say is to all my future police officers to come. Please, don't let this destroy your dreams. Don't let this throw us back, but then use this as a way to move forward, to make us better, because we need good people like you. You, good people, are what's going to make the difference in this country. Wow. Watching George Floyd on that ground, already handcuffed, and the officers standing around and not doing anything about it, supporting it. And then we witness his last breath. To me, that was murder. Haven't we had enough lessons around this country by now to know that it shouldn't be done? We shouldn't tolerate this anymore? What have we learned, America? When will we stop all of this? When will we hold people accountable for these bad actions of lawlessness? It's time, America. It's time that justice prevail, for this is a country for all people. I remember the day that I became a police officer. It was not something I wanted to do. I was unemployed at the time and I needed a job. I've never had anyone to a point of begging me to take a job, and I was totally resistant. I was just basically applying to be a dispatcher, to be behind the scenes until I could get me a coaching teaching job. But realized I ended up being in the profession was the best thing ever happened to me in my life. God led me in that direction and I couldn't see it at the time. And then I retired in December the 1st, 2019. Go from being a police officer to a district court juvenile officer, to child welfare social worker, to a juvenile justice specialist, in which I retired in 25 years as a juvenile justice specialist. Basically, juvenile probation parole officer. Yes, kids got in trouble. Yes, kids commit crimes, and they commit the same crimes as adults do. But then when we get them, that's where the rehabilitative process comes in. And I know for a fact that I've saved a lot of kids' lives. I know for a fact that I transformed some kids from going a life of continual habitual crime or being out of control to now adults living a very productive life. And then many have gone on to college and have had great careers. That's what we need in the criminal justice field. People that are going to make a positive difference. Yes, people that have to protect the public. Yes, people that needs to protect the public. But protect the public equally for all, not just for a few. And I think too, that in the hiring process across this land, everyone, from the largest city to the smallest town, every person that's applying to get into law enforcement, especially as a police officer with a badge and gun, has to go through an intensive, not just background check, but psychological evaluations. We need to know these people's history. We need to know their mindset. What are they thinking about? How they view other people. Because in America, we have some of every race there is in the world here on our soil. And we need someone that's going to uphold the law, but also provide equal rights to all, not just to a few or some, but for all people, because you're protecting the people and not racists. Come on, America. I know we're all in pain right now. We're all upset and we want to just tear some stuff up, but let's don't do that. Let's don't destroy our communities. Let's don't destroy our cities. And, people kill people just from a moment of anger. So what has happened here to George Floyd and the young man who was running, just jogging and getting killed by these guys as he was jogging down the street, and there's others, countless others. Our history is full of it. But this is 2020. I like to look back when in my childhood thinking in the 2000s it's going to be like the Jetsons, the Jet Set. And here we are still battling the same old behaviors. Yeah, things have gotten better. Things not like what they used to be, but still, we hadn't reached where we need to be. And now is the time, guys. Don't you agree? Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to feel loved. Everybody wants peace. These behaviors of a few thugs out there that carries a badge and gun, we don't need them on the forces. And I plead with all chief of police everywhere. You know who they are. Clean them up, clean it up. You've gotten complaints. Clean it up. They don't need to wear a badge and gun. No one with that much power in their hands should be out supposedly protecting the public when they're doing more harm than good. And now we have one person to three people, even more, that has the country on edge. Let's calm down, America. Let justice prevail here in the court process. I hope that the district attorney in this evaluation of this case see what we all see. Cut no deals. This is something that needs to be done. Prosecute to the full extent of the law. This is the example that from this point forward, that's the way it has to be in America. If you wear a uniform and you disgrace that uniform and you go out and commit crimes yourself, capital crimes especially, you need to be dealt with like all the other criminals that have committed violent, heinous crimes, because that's what was done here at this time. God forgive us. Let's pray for everyone in this country, that there be peace, that we'll look to God. And we know if we look toward God, what we're supposed to do. If you study the word of any sort, and I do, I just tell you, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. I believe in Jehovah, Yahweh, Yeshua, all the same. And I put those godly commands, principles to my daily use. At least I try. God, let's do the right thing, America. Let's cause no more harm and destruction. Let's, the court, step up and do what we know should be done. And that's the right thing. God, bless, do, wow, bless. God help America.